And Vance, congratulations. Your Miami team has survived to see another week. So, before we get to the Miami game, which I know you're excited to talk about, let's start with the other matchup, Indiana, Oregon, a rematch of a game we saw back in October. Now, this game figures to feature the potential 1 and 2 picks in the NFL draft.
I will go with TJ first. How do you feel about it?
I think it'll be a good game. Obviously, the first thing they'll say is it's always hard to beat a team twice. Indiana has looked unbelievable, especially that was their first game playing last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's the only team that's won with the bye, correct?
correct.
yeah,
Ever in the 12
Okay,
team
so
format.
absolutely dismantled Alabama. Like I thought Alabama was on the up and up. I believe that they had one of the better players on the field with Ryan Williams, and they have a great receiving core. They struggle to run the ball, great defense. None of that mattered to Indiana. They can do it all. Mendoza was spectacular throwing the ball. 14 to 16, something like that, 16 to 18. More touchdowns and incompletions, took care of the ball. The defense was lights out. I think that'll present a lot of problems for Oregon. They can rush the passer. I wouldn't call Dante more inexperienced, but in terms of these bigger moments, maybe that might start to show a little bit. They were kind of shaky in that first game. I know that it was first, so a lot of people didn't watch it, but that Texas Tech Oregon game, it was nasty. It was a nasty game. Just as nasty as them black uniforms Oregon had on. They must have knew that they was getting ready to play one of them, foul ass field goal games because they came out, looking for a dogfight. I think we'll get a lot more of that, but I think we'll have some more precise offense. Probably we would all say better quarterback play from both sides.
yeah.
We're not crazy about Baron Morton. No haters in here, but we just call a spade a spade. He might find another year somewhere. Okay, more power to him. But I think we'll have an upgrade at the quarterback position. Two fantastic defenses, two fantastic head coaches. I feel like we're gonna get like a 31-28, Mendoza late game drive. I don't see either team just laying an egg. I don't see either team running over the other one. If Oregon wins, it'll be close, but I feel like we're going to get a 31-28, like a classic type of game. Slow starting, 7-3 type of first quarter. We pick it up, third quarter, shit gets crazy, and then somebody kicks a field goal. So I like Indiana. They just look too complete on both sides. But I like them 31-28, some shit like that.
I mean, I can see it being that high scoring. Like you said, Oregon's not going to lay down, considering they already scored 20 points against Indiana earlier
Right.
this season. And so I just feel as if can Oregon hold up against Indiana's defense, their O line? Like, I mean, they played against Texas Tech. Obviously, Texas Tech's offense was not great. They scored
Right.
0 points in the CFP game,
Right.
but they played against JMU, and JMU put up 30 points on them. And so
Right.
when you consider that, and Indiana is going to be very efficient, they might not. They probably will get to the 30 just because of how efficient they are.
Yeah.
They're not just scoring quick, but they're on time. And playing against a team like that is going to be very, very like I would say frustrating for
Yeah.
Oregon. And so once you get to a certain point, it's gonna be like halftime. Indiana might be up by like a touchdown,
Yeah.
maybe 10 points somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be up by more than 10, but then it's gonna get to the point Oregon's gonna start trying to press, trying to make plays, and then all of a sudden you're gonna go from being down a touchdown to being down 3 touchdowns. And it's
Mm.
gonna be like you say like 30, what did you say, 31-28? I could see it
Yeah.
being
31
something
28.
like 31-13. Now I do agree about Indiana, that's around the range that they're gonna score though.
Okay. So you don't think Oregon will score 20?
They could. It's very
Right.
possible. But I just feel like the way Indiana is playing fundamentally sound,
Yeah.
it's going to be very hard. Ohio State could only score 10 on them. Nobody's really scoring on them, but the best chance to score on them is probably going to come from Oregon.
Okay.
So it's possible, but I just feel like Indiana's shut down right now.
I don't know. I feel like this game right here reminds me a lot of a game we saw last year, involving one of these same teams, and that's Oregon. We saw Oregon beat Ohio State. I can't remember where that game was during the regular season, but Oregon beat Ohio State during the regular season just for Ohio State to come back and spank them in the playoff. And while I don't think Oregon will be able to spank this very talented Indiana team, I think you guys are underestimating the ability of this Oregon offense to put this Indiana team in a position they haven't been all year. And that's in a shootout. You look at
Mm.
all these games Indiana has played. Yes, they've been these 13-10, mostly these ugly type games. Even that Penn State game where Mendoza let the game winning drive to come back. I can't remember the total, but I know it was uh under 30-point outing for Indiana. So when I look at this Oregon team and we're talking about a guy in Dante Moore who over his last 5 games is averaging right under 300 yards and almost 2 touchdowns a game. When you potentially add Evan Stewart back to the mix, I think this Oregon team might be poised to take flight on this Indiana defense. Last week, like you said, Vance, an ugly game versus Texas Tech, but what we saw Oregon do was stay committed and stay true to who they were throughout that game was led them to victory. Despite, Texas Tech having the number one defense against the run in the country, Oregon ran the ball 47 times, stayed committed to it. Only gained 64 yards, but stayed committed to it, trusted the process, and that resulted in, like y'all said, a 24-0 win in the college football playoff. And to me, that momentum means something coming into this Indiana game.
Do you feel as if Oregon's D line can hold up against Indiana's O line and their run game? Just because we saw in the Rose Bowl, Indiana, their offensive lineman won the player of the game. We've never seen that. And so, for the way that they've been dominated, can Oregon hold up their front seven and at least get Indiana off the field and get more possessions? Do you think that's possible for them?
And I think so. We just saw them against this Texas Tech team. Obviously, this isn't Indiana, but they held Texas Tech to 10 first downs and only 64 rushing yards. And part of that is because of the turnovers that Oregon defense was able to create. We saw the freshman corner, I believe he had 2 picks and a fumble recovery in that Texas Tech game. And I think that will be the great equalizer in this game. This Oregon defense, while they might not be able to go big on big with Indiana, they are very opportunistic in being able to create turnovers and get the ball back in the hands of their better unit in Dante Moore in that Oregon offense.
Mm, okay, okay. I'm not hating it.
Moving on from that game on to the big one. Vance, I don't know if you were on the same shit Michael Irvin was on while you're watching that game, but with Miami moving on, how do you feel about their chances right now, man?
Oh, listen, that game is 50-50 in the terms of it's pro if Miami is gonna have to play from ahead, if they're playing from behind in this game, Ole Miss is going. You see what Lacey does every single time after every game, they belt to ass. If Ole Miss starts off, whoever starts off hot, I think that's the team that's gonna win. They're very two evenly matched teams. It's flip a coin. Whoever makes less mistakes, we've seen Ole Miss be disciplined. I would say everybody loves Mendoza. You could argue that Trinidad Chambliss has had a better season than Mendoza. You could argue that he's a better quarterback. He's the best quarterback left in the CFP. And so we all saw the clip of the wide receiver for Ole Miss talking smack. We have an O line that can hold up. And I'm sure they can hold up somewhat. Trinidad Chambliss is one of the quarterbacks that gets the ball out the fastest in the whole nation. And so that's going to be cute. But then again, you're going to have to worry about Miami secondary. They like to play up in your face. Can Ole Miss wide receivers continue to get open against
Yes,
Miami secondary? Okay,
yes.
you think so? You say it very
I,
confidently.
I, I
So
know so. Trey
okay,
Wallace is one of the best deep threats I think I've seen in college football this year. Deshaun
mm,
Stribling has the ability to big body and physically dominate most matchups he has. And then when you account for the Trinidad Chambliss off schedule ability, it's hard for a defense to keep track. And I hope I'm not overshadowing too much, but I'm really liking Ole Miss in this game. I hope I don't piss you off, Vance.
you not pissing me off. Listen, I'm from Mississippi, man, northern Mississippi. So I used to live an hour away from Ole Miss. So it's great to see them in this position. I just hate that Miami has to whack that ass, bro.
You ain't pissing them off. You pissing me off though. But I can't disagree with anything he said. Anything either you said. I think the praise for the receivers is more than like as much as I don't want to say this any of this shit that I'm about to say, but it's more than deserved. Stribling has been fantastic with his yak ability. You forgot about Caden Lee, the little slot monster. He can play.
Yeah, facts. Getting his shit demolished too.
Caden Lee is the type of player that can win the game because he's on that like break somebody's ankles in the end zone type strong hands catch, Hunter Renfrow to seal the game type of shit. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I hope to God it doesn't happen. But unfortunately, Ole Miss, unfortunately for me, but not for the concept of football. So for the concept of football, Ole Miss has shown to be a pretty complete team. As much as it pains me to say, I thought that when we came to the pick 'em, I picked Georgia, and then when I woke up on the day of the game, I just had this horrible feeling. I was like, Ole Miss is gonna win this fucking game. They're just gonna win this game. They almost won the game the first time, so it wasn't like they were these, pee-wee football players. Like, how do we have a chance? And I saw the video. I don't know if I saw the video of them jawing at each other on Bourbon Street. I thought that was hilarious, and they were, going at it. And throughout all this Lane Kiffin and Pete Golden bullshit, I will give them credit. They have kept the football. All these distractions, and you have another distraction, right? Kevin Smith is gone. Charlie Weiss is. So today they're talking about him going to the NFL, and he's talking about, I'm going to stay, but I want to coach at Ole Miss, and I got to go back to, hold fit. Like, there's so many distractions, and they have been able to kind of really stay grounded. They've probably played the two best offensive games of any two teams that have played. Would we say that? Would we say that's fair?
Yeah,
The best two
I
offensive
definitely think
games?
so.
Yeah.
So they're putting up absolute light show. Miami has a defense to stop them. I'm concerned about Miami's offense, not from ability standpoint, but from an output standpoint. So they have the ability. Let's say we're both at our ceiling, right? Ole Miss at their ceiling, Miami's at their ceiling. They can both give each other blows, body blows. They can throw up 30, 40 points if they want. Miami has more than just Malachi Tony. They got CJ Daniels. They got Fletcher. They've got guys that can make plays. Carson Beck can use his legs. He can, sit back in the pocket and play surgeon and tear up defense. But the reality is that they've played solid defenses, and he's not been able to get in there. I don't think he even has 250 passing yards within 2 games. I know that sounds crazy, but they're winning these games. This is the time where teams are beat up. They're hurt. Things aren't working how they used to, and you just got to find a way to win. So hopefully, for my sake and my sanity, Miami can get it together on offense, keep it together on defense. If they are able to contain, and I put that in air quotes because we haven't really seen anybody contain Chambliss. But if you can kind of keep the fire to a minimum, I don't even know if keeping him in the pocket is a better strategy because he can dice you up from the pocket. Like, he's not like, he's quarterback. He might not, he can run, but he's quarterbacky enough to make all the throws. I think this will be another high scoring game. I think we'll get 2 nice high scoring games. I just think Ole Miss is gonna Ole Miss how they want to Ole Miss. They wanted to Ole Miss in the game before. We saw they wanted to do it. It didn't come all the way out. I think it'll come out at the wrong time, and I think Miami will finally hit their stride on offense. Maybe like I go 35-31 Miami. I like high scoring. It's not going to be very Fiesta Bowl-ish, head banging-ish, but Ole Miss has a good defense. They just need to get their defense together. And I think this will be what will decide the game is which unit opposite. So Ole Miss defense, Miami offense, 2 units that have struggled against their counterparts. Which one of those will get right first, and they'll win the game. So
I'm telling you right now who's going to win that, and it's going to be Miami's O-line against Ole Miss's D-line.
Okay.
Ole Miss's D-line defense as a whole ranks in the bottom half of FBS against rushing attacks.
Yeah, surely do.
We saw Miami. We saw Mark Fletcher. He had 90 yards, 4.5 yards a carry against Ohio State, who really was generational this season, bro.
Yeah.
One of the best defenses
right
we've ever seen.
4 first-round picks, right down the middle.
And so Ole Miss's weakness, that's what Miami's strength is. And so they're going to have to either blitz up the middle, and that's going to lead to outside the edges open. That's where you're going to get the wide receivers starting to go off. And CJ Daniels, you're going to see Malachi Tony getting his little gadget plays, all of that. We haven't really seen any chunk plays from Miami. I don't believe it or not. I don't think I've seen one that was through the air or chunk play for Miami in these first 2 college football playoff games.
Yeah, not one that wasn't a screen.
Yeah, and so
I think they had a deep ball in the Texas A&M game. They had 1 deep ball.
Maybe a hard maybe, but either way it goes, I think Miami's run game, they're going to be able to keep Chambliss at bay, and they're going to be able to get just enough stops. We may only stop Ole Miss 3 times all game, but I think Ole Miss won't be able to stop us if we're running the ball. We're converting, not messing up, not missing field goals. Listen, things happen, sometimes it's out of your control. But
Yeah.
it's very evenly matched. But I think Miami's run game will be the difference, and that would get them to win over Ole Miss.
I think the run game will be a big key, and like I told y'all, watching Mark Fletcher versus Ohio State. I think his last name should have been Cook, but that's a debate for another day. But anyway, talking about the Miami run game, I think what's really going to be key is time of possession in this game. If Miami can dominate the time of possession as they have done in some of these earlier matchups through the run game, through staying on schedule, through converting on third down, and keeping the ball out of that Ole Miss offense's hands, I think that's their best bet because I don't think Miami's going to be able to go blow for blow in terms of touchdown for touchdown with Ole Miss. They're gonna have
Mhm.
to control the ball, score 7, not 3, and like I said, keep Trinidad Chambliss and that offense on the bench. If not, like you said, this Ole Miss offense is potent and has the capability to score every time they touch it. And if that's the case, Miami definitely won't be able to keep up, in my opinion.
I can't wait.
I hope the guy Ole Miss does not go to the national championship. I will literally never sleep again, especially if they win it. I would never know peace ever again.
I mean, but you got to think about it though, TJ. Your new head coach built a national champion.
Yeah, but their twisted asses won't let that. Charlie Weiss and Pete Golding, like they swear to God, Lane Kiffin had nothing to do with this. Just 3 weeks ago, he was the biggest genius. To them, he was the biggest genius on earth. Now he's the biggest idiot. And what will we do without Pete Golding? Oh, give me a fucking break. Please beat their asses.
Talk,
I just appreciate that it's four completely different teams. Miami hasn't won a natty in 25 years. Ole Miss hasn't won in 50 years since
Ever.
civil rights era, bro. Yeah,
They have
when it didn't
never
really
won.
count. Yeah, bro.
It's crazy. You got a team that didn't even sniff the conference championship game. I think they were like the 4 or 5. They didn't even make and they're going to easily make the fucking semifinal. That is
Yeah,
crazy. Didn't
yeah,
even play in the conference championship game. They're just going to start getting rid of them at a certain point. Like they're just going to get rid of the fucking conference championship. It might as well at this point because you
yeah.
don't even have to go anymore. You don't
I
even have to
agree.
go.
I agree, bro.
That's
but you
crazy.
know what's interesting about what you said though, Vance? 4 different teams, stylistically and like historically, but also all 4 of these coaches coached under Nick Saban, bro. To
Hey,
me, that shit kind of crazy, bro.
yeah, bro. Blank.
Let a naysayer know